Welcome to my channel. Coin worth million today. Video is one you won't miss. We're diving into the world of coins, top United States half dollar. So let's get it started. The 1971 United States half dollar, a turning point in American coinage. The 1971 Kennedy half dollar is not just a piece of currency. It's a snapshot of American history, art, and economic transition. Introduced less than a decade after President John F. Kennedy's assassination, the Kennedy half dollar had already become one of the most emotionally resonant coins in U.S. history. By the time the 1971 edition was released, the coin's story had become intertwined with the nation's economic shifts, changes in coinage composition, and the evolving sentiments of collectors and citizens alike. Historical context: in the wake of President John F. Kennedy's assassination on November 22, 1963, the nation was enveloped in grief. Almost immediately, there were calls from both the public and political spheres to memorialize the late president in a meaningful and enduring way. Within days, the U.S. Mint and Congress agreed to replace the design of the Franklin half dollar, which had been in circulation since 1948. With one that bore Kennedy's image. The new coin was fast-tracked and first issued in 1964, less than a year after the president's death. From 1964 to 1970, the Kennedy half dollar contained silver, 90% in 1964, and 40% from 1965 to 1970. But 1971 marked a turning point. The U.S. Treasury, facing the economic pressures of the Vietnam War, inflation, and a silver shortage, made a decisive move. 1971 would be the first year the half dollar would no longer contain any silver, instead being minted from a copper nickel. Clad composition. This move reflected broader trends in American and global economics, trends that sought to move away from precious metals in general circulation and towards cost-effective, abundant alternatives. Thus, the 1971 Kennedy half dollar was both a continuation and a departure, retaining the image of a beloved leader, but transforming in material and economic symbolism. Design and artistic details. The Kennedy half dollar's design was created by two prominent U.S. mint engravers, Gilroy Roberts and Frank Gasparo. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. The image was based on a bust he had originally created for a Kennedy presidential medal. Around the rim are the inscriptions, "Liberty" above and "In God We Trust" below, flanking Kennedy's neck. The date 1971 is centered beneath the neckline. The reverse was designed by Frank Gasparo and shows the presidential seal with a heraldic eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch. A field of 50 stars surrounds the seal, representing the states. The legend United States of America encircles the top, and half dollar is inscribed at the bottom. This enduring design, unchanged in its major elements since 1964, gave the coin a familiar and iconic look that continues to this day. Composition and specifications. One of the defining aspects of the 1971 Kennedy half dollar is its composition. This marked the first time in modern U.S. coinage that the half dollar completely abandoned silver. Composition. Outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. Weight. 11.34 grams diameter, 30.6 millimeter edge, reeded. This copper-nickel clad format was already in use in dimes and quarters since 1965, following the Coinage Act of 1965. Its application to the half dollar in 1971 completed the transition of circulating U.S. coinage to base metals. Economic environment and circulation challenges. The economic context of the early 1970s played a major role in shaping the future of the half dollar. Although the Kennedy half dollar was minted in large quantities, it quickly became clear that it wasn't circulating as expected. By 1971, the coin was no longer viewed primarily as a tribute to a fallen president. Instead, it became caught in a spiral of reduced utility. Vending machines, parking meters, and even cash registers weren't well suited for half dollars. and public familiarity with them waned, despite being produced in high numbers, with over 350 million coins minted in 1971 between Philadelphia and Denver. Most coins saw limited circulation and were instead hoarded or remained in bank vaults. Several factors contributed to this stagnation. The coin was physically larger and heavier than quarters, and not widely accepted by machines. There was a lingering perception that Kennedy half dollars, especially the earlier silver issues, were valuable or collectible. The public's habits had evolved, favoring quarters and dollar bills. The combination of these issues meant that although the coin remained in production, its practical usage was limited. Mint marks and varieties. The 1971 Kennedy half dollars were produced at two mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D mint mark. Notably, no proof coins were struck at the San Francisco Mint in 1971, making this a departure from the pattern established in prior years. There are some minor varieties and errors that are of interest to collectors, including double die obverse and reverse, DDO, DDR. These rare errors show doubling of letters or numbers, struck on wrong planche. Rare examples exist of 1971 Kennedy halves struck on leftover silver-clad planches from previous years. High relief or full bell lines anomalies. Although not as prominent in half dollars as with Franklin half dollars, some 1971 issues show die anomalies that attract premium interest. Collectability and value. For most 1971 Kennedy half dollars, the value remains modest, as the coin contains no silver and was minted in very high numbers. Most circulated examples are worth only face value, 50 cents. However, there are exceptions. Mint state coins, MS-65 or higher. Well-preserved examples with no wear and strong strikes can be valued at $550 or more, depending on quality and grading. Error coins. Coins with striking errors or on wrong planches can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially if authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC. Uncirculated rolls and bags. Collectors sometimes pay a premium for unopened or original mint packaging from 1971. Despite their low intrinsic value, Kennedy half dollars, including the 1971 issue, remain popular due to their aesthetic appeal and emotional resonance. Cultural impact and legacy. The Kennedy half dollar continues to be a symbol of a hopeful era in American history, tied irrevocably to the memory of the 35th president. While the 1971 version marked a shift in materials and usage, it retained its symbolic importance. In the decades following 1971, the coin found new life in collector sets and as a staple of U.S. mint releases. Although its presence in everyday commerce faded, the design remained untouched for more than 50 years, a testament to its enduring power. Today, Kennedy half dollars are still struck by the U.S. Mint, primarily for collectors. The 1971 issue represents a watershed moment in its journey, the beginning of its transition from circulation coin to commemorative artifact. Final thoughts. The 1971 Kennedy half dollar stands at the crossroads of numismatic history. It is both a tribute to a president and a testament to an evolving monetary system. For collectors and historians, it tells a story of change, political, cultural, and economic. As silver vanished from American pockets, this coin marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. Whether kept for its design, nostalgia, or the potential thrill of finding a rare error, the 1971 half dollar holds a place in American hearts and coin collections alike. Though often overlooked in daily life, this coin's history reflects a nation's resilience and respect for its past embodied in metal, myth, and memory. 2. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar, a detailed exploration of an American icon in transition. Introduction. A coin with a president's legacy. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar is more than just a piece of American currency. It is a numismatic artifact that embodies historical reverence, economic transformation, and the enduring memory of President John F. Kennedy. Introduced in 1964 in the aftermath of a national tragedy, the Kennedy half-dollar began its journey as a commemorative gesture but quickly evolved into a mainstay of U.S. coinage, albeit with a trajectory marked by changing public interest and metallurgical shifts. By the time the 1972 edition was struck, the Kennedy half-dollar had firmly entered the post-silver era, with changes in composition and collector interest shaping its fate. The 1972 half-dollar tells a story of legacy, adaptation, and how a nation's currency reflects its historical and economic choices. Let us embark on a deep dive into this pivotal piece of American numismatics. Historical and political context. Early 1970s were a period of intense change in the United States. The country was grappling with the Vietnam War, economic instability, the rise of inflation, and the unraveling of the Bretton Woods system, which had tied world currencies to the U.S. dollar and gold. Domestically, trust in government was beginning to erode due to the Watergate scandal and shifting political landscapes. Amidst this national uncertainty, the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar carried forward the memory of a more optimistic time, the presidency of John F. Kennedy. Though nearly a decade had passed since his assassination in 1963, Kennedy remained an emblem of hope, youth, and vigor for millions of Americans. The coin that bore his likeness had originally been released just months after his death, replacing the Benjamin Franklin half-dollar. It quickly became a beloved tribute, and many Americans hoarded the 1964 silver versions as keepsakes. By 1972, however, the Kennedy half-dollar was at a crossroads. While its image remained unchanged, its role in commerce and the American psyche had evolved. Design, honoring a fallen president. The design of the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar remained consistent with previous years. It was the collaborative work of two prominent engravers, Gilroy Roberts, who designed the obverse front, and Frank Gasparo, who sculpted the reverse back. Obverse, front, portrait, a left-facing bust of President John F. Kennedy. Inscriptions, Liberty curves across. The top, In God We Trust, appears horizontally on both sides of the neck, and the year 1972 is displayed at the bottom. Designer, Gilroy Roberts, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint from 1948 to 1964, based the portrait on a bust he had previously created for a Kennedy inaugural medal. Design, the presidential seal, an eagle with a shield on its chest, clutching arrows and an olive branch in its talons. Background, a field of 50 stars surrounds the eagle, symbolizing the states. Inscriptions, United States of America, curves above, and $50 is struck at the bottom. Designer, Frank Gasparo, who succeeded Roberts as chief engraver. This pairing of powerful symbolism and detailed engraving gave the coin a gravitas that transcended its face value, elevating it to the level of a miniature monument. Metallurgical composition and specifications. 72. Kennedy half-dollar marked the third year of full transition from silver to copper-nickel clad composition. Earlier half-dollars, 1965-1970, had a 40% silver content, but rising silver prices and the hoarding of coins forced the U.S. Mint to adopt a base metal solution. Technical specifications. Composition, outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. Weight, 11.34 grams diameter, 30.6 media edge. Reeded thickness, 2.15 mm. This clad composition mirrored that used in dimes and quarters since 1965. It allowed the mint to produce large quantities of coins without the cost of precious metals, ensuring economic sustainability but reducing intrinsic value. Fee. Mint production and mint marks in 1972. Kennedy half-dollars were struck at 3 facilities. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, mintage. Approximately 153 million coins struck here bear no mint mark and are among the most common. Denver Mint, D-mint mark, mintage. Approximately 141 million located on the obverse under Kennedy's neck. San Francisco Mint, S mint mark, proof only. Mintage, around you. 3.2 million. These coins were struck for collectors and not meant for circulation. The 1972 D and 1972 Philadelphia coins were intended for general circulation, but public resistance to using the half-dollar persisted. Most coins saw limited usage and were often returned to banks or stored away in vaults. V. Errors and varieties. One of the most famous and valuable features of the 1972 half-dollar is a rare variety known as the 1972 D No FG. Short for No Frank Gasparo initials. 1972 D. No FG, missing designer initials. Location of initials. Normally, the initials FG appear on the reverse, to the right of the eagle's tail feathers, and just above the right leg. Error. In this rare variety, the initials are completely missing due to overpolishing of the dies. Value. Depending on condition, these coins can range from $200 to over $1,000, with high-grade examples fetching more. Doubled dies, though less common. Some 1972 half-dollars exhibit signs of doubled die obverses or reverses, especially on inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust. These are sought after by error collectors. Struck on wrong planchets. There are reports of 1972 Kennedy half-dollars being accidentally struck on foreign planchets or leftover blanks. These off-metal errors can be extremely rare and valuable. 6. Economic role in circulation decline. Despite its initial popularity, by 1972 the Kennedy half-dollar was already in decline as a circulating coin. The reasons were multifaceted. Vending machines and cash registers. Few machines accepted half-dollars, and most stores were not equipped to handle them easily. Public perception. Many people believed the coin was too large and bulky. Some still mistakenly assumed it had silver value. Hoarding behavior. Early Kennedy half-dollars were hoarded, and many people continued to hold on to them rather than spend them. As a result, the coin saw limited actual use in day-to-day commerce, and gradually disappeared from common circulation. Collector appeal and market value. While the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar is common in circulated condition, it has its place in the numismatic world. Common circulated coins value, usually $0.51 pesos depending on where. These are not rare, and millions remain in drawers, banks, and rolls. Uncirculated and high-grade coins MS-65 and above, well struck. Examples with minimal contact marks are valued by collectors. PCGS NGC graded coins. Certified coins in MS-66, MS-67 can range from $20 to over $100.3. Error. Coins 1972. D. No FG. As mentioned earlier, this is a key variety with serious collector demand. Off-center or clipped planchet errors. These errors are always of interest and vary in value based on severity and visibility. 8. Cultural and symbolic significance beyond metal and minting. The 1972 Kennedy half-dollar holds a special place in American culture. It represents enduring memory. The coin ensures that John F. Kennedy's legacy lives on in the daily lives of Americans, even if it's just in coin collections. Transitional economy. It reflects the U.S. transition from silver to base metals, an important shift in monetary policy. Postmodern coinage. The Kennedy half-dollar helped usher in a new era of coins not just for spending, but for collecting and symbolism. Ike. Final thoughts. A coin between two worlds, the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar, has a coin caught between two eras, no longer silver. Not yet rare, it exists in the liminal space between practical currency and historic relic. Though it may not command high prices in most forms, its value lies in what it represents, the continuity of memory, the evolution of American money, and the cultural reverence for a president who inspired millions. For collectors, numismatists, and history lovers alike, the 1972 half-dollar remains a fascinating object. Humble in worth, but rich in meaning. It reminds us that even common coins carry uncommon stories. Like and subscribe this video.